Hello, my name is Miss Erin, and I work at the Mount Airy Public Library from Carroll County Public Library, and I'm here today to talk to you about some more middle grade books. So the only issue is that I don't have any physical books with me. I ran out. I made like a supermarket sweep, you know, style run before we left a couple months ago, and those are the ones that I had, but I don't have any more. So what I do have is my phone, or what I might also use is my Kindle, or if you have an iPad or a tablet, you could use that. You could even just use your desktop computer or laptop to access our digital resources via Overdrive and Libby and Hoopla. And so I'm here today to talk to you about 5 titles that are available on Hoopla or Overdrive/Libby. And I'm going to show you, because I read them and listened to them via my phone, that I'm going to show you on my phone those pictures of what I listened to or read. So the theme for today's books are that these 5 books, let me just double check I have 5, yeah, 5 written down, are all on the Black-Eyed Susan nominee list for the school year of 2020 to 2021. So as you might already know, the Black-Eyed Susans are awards that go out to a variety of genres and age groups for Maryland, for books that are chosen by Maryland school librarians and voted on by Maryland school students. So why that's important to us, other than it just being a very important list as Maryland libraries, but we use those books for Battle of the Books. So next year, these 5 titles, they might be on the Battle of the Books list. I'm not going to say they are going to be, because those books haven't been decided yet, but they all come from the larger Black-Eyed Susan list. So the 5 titles we're going to talk about today are Black-Eyed Susan nominees for either grades 4 through 6 fiction or grades 4 through 6 graphic novels. So all of them are going to be for grades 4 through 6. Okay, so let's start. And these are just kind of in the order that I was able to find them. So you can see what you've checked out in the past via your Hoopla or Overdrive or Libby app. So I just kind of went back and saw what I got. And this first one I want to tell you about is, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here, make sure my lights are up. Hopefully you can see it. It's called The Trail. And this is by Mika Hashimoto. And this is a book about, our main character is a boy. And our boy here is, I believe, 12 years old. And he and his best friend, Lucas, a year before the book takes place, had decided to make kind of like a bucket list of like a way to make their summer really amazing. So they put in things like go blueberry picking. They wanted to, oh gosh, what else did they do? They had a movie marathon. And then one big thing they wanted to do was they wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail. Now, you might be from the area, so you might know that the Appalachian Trail is super duper 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 long. It would take you months to hike the whole thing. So they were like, let's be a little more reasonable. We're going to hike this shorter distance. But this shorter distance was still about 400 miles. So it was going to take them a very long time. Well, come to find out, something happens to Lucas. I'm not going to give it away. So that our main character has to walk the trail on his own. And as you can imagine, he sees a lot of hardships, both physical and mental. He does meet a dog, and you'll have to read the book to find out as to what his relationship with that dog sort of becomes. But it's a really great tale of survivalism. So if you like survival tales or wilderness tales, it's really great for you. It's really great about friendship and sort of making memories and what someone's memory means to you and how you kind of carry that on if they can't be around anymore. So there is some sadness, but there's a lot of hope. And I really liked it. I'm not that much of a wilderness reader. I like going on a hike, but you know, that's about it. I'm not that interested in reading about them all the time, but I really liked this one. And again, so that's called The Trail, and it's by Mika Hashimoto. And right now this is on Overdrive. I think when I last checked, there's a little bit of a wait list, but not too much. So you can put yourself on hold for that. Okay. My second book is actually a graphic novel. So this is from that graphic novel section of the Black Eyed Susan nominee list. And this is called Dugout. The Zombie Steals Home. And this is by Scott Morse. And as you can see, it's a volume 1. So that means that there could be a volume 2 coming out. And so this one, if you can tell by the cover here, we have our main characters are playing baseball. Yeah. So we have actually 2 main characters, and they are sisters, and they both play baseball, but on opposing teams. And they really have a sibling rivalry at home. Well, they also have a big secret that maybe isn't so secret because their friends kind of make fun of them for it, but their grandma is a witch, a good witch. And they have inherited some of those witchy genes, so they can do some magic too. Well, they're not used to their magic because this is kind of the first time they're discovering that they have it. So something happens with which they are going to play baseball in one kind of desolate baseball field they've kind of made up for themselves. And they actually bewitch part of the ground, and uh-oh, someone pops up. And it's a zombie. So you will have to read to find out what happens with the 2 teams, the 2 opposing teams and the 2 opposing sisters, what kind of magic they produce. If the zombie is like a terrible, scary, evil zombie, or maybe he's just one of those like, ooh, dim-witted zombies. And if the sisters are able to kind of fix their magical mistake. So that is called The Dugout, and that is by Scott Morse. And again, that one looks like this, and it is available on Overdrive or Libby. Okay, so number 3, and I think this is my last one from Overdrive, and the other ones are going to be from Hoopla. Number 3 is called The Light Jar. Let me see if I can grab the cover here for you. This is The Light Jar, and it's by Lisa Thompson. And you can kind of see it has a sort of camping feel to it. Well, instead of being camping, this is a cottage. So our main character here is a boy, and he and his mom are running away from a really kind of sticky situation back at home. So the mom's, I don't even know if he's the step-husband or boyfriend, but his name is Gary, and he's like not very nice to them, to both of them, the mother and the child. And so the mom and the son kind of take everything they've got and they go, and they know that there's this cabin that belonged to their grandfather, to the mom's grandfather, and they can stay there because the grandfather has been deceased for a while, and it's just kind of, it's there vacant. And so they go, and the mom decides to leave the next morning to go get groceries, and our main character stays in the house. Well, hours and hours go by when she should have been home, and she's not home. And whew, I just got goosebumps. It really, the mystery of it really made me feel, like uncomfortable for him. The good news is he's not alone. He is accompanied by a rogue chicken that he finds, who he kind of takes care of and in turn lays eggs for him, so he does have some kind of food. And he also has his imaginary best friend from when he was younger, much younger, Sam, has returned to say hello and kind of ask him what's going on, and just kind of being there. Oh, thank you, Judd. No worries. Yay. I'm glad you're here. So he has his imaginary best friend from when he was a kid kind of show up again. Not all the time, but kind of snippets here and there. And there is a young girl who's around his age who lives in the old mansion that this cottage kind of was used to belong to the gardener who took care of this kind of big estate for them. And so she doesn't really know that he is waiting for his mom. He kind of makes up that his parents have, they're kind of gone for the day, but they'll be back. And she has a mystery of her own. A mystery that is kind of an old mystery that she wants to discover, and there's actually kind of like a treasure hunt. And so to make a friend and to distract himself from being really worried about where his mom is, he follows this girl and helps her solve her mystery. Now, there are many times in this book where I was like, get a grown-up! Get a grown-up! So that might frustrate you a little bit, but the mystery is really, really compelling, and it really makes you want to read more. So you'll have to read to find out. It sounds scary. It's not really scary. It's just like suspenseful. It's a mystery. You don't know what's going to happen next. So again, that one's called The Light Jar. It's by Lisa Thompson, and that one is available through Overdrive. Okay, so our last two that I'm going to talk about are both on Hoopla. Let me pull up my pictures here. The first one is called The Unteachables, and this is by Gordon Korman. And I will tell you, Gordon Korman has been on so many like award-winning lists that, and he's been a battle author before. We've had, his books before, and I have never read a Gordon Korman book before this, and I don't know why. I just had never read it. So I was so excited. This was my first Gordon Korman book, and I absolutely loved it. So this was called The Unteachables, and our main character is, I believe her name is Kira, and she is visiting her dad and her stepmom for just a little bit because her mother works in the movies, is a director and producer, and so she has a project that she's going to work on for a couple months, but she can't have Kira with her. So Kira stays with her dad and mom and stepmom, kind of in the estates away in the Midwest. And she knows that she calls herself a short timer. She's only going to be there a short time. So she doesn't have to really get invested in school. She doesn't have to get invested in friends. She doesn't really have to get invested really in her dad and her stepmom, because she's just there for a short time, or so she thinks. So she kind of goes in with like a, carefree attitude, and she accidentally gets put into this one class that is kind of nicknamed the Unteachables. And what that is these kids, for whatever reason, maybe they've had some behavioral issues, maybe they have some learning issues that others have just kind of, pushed them to the wayside about. And they're kind of there. And what makes it worse is that the teacher who's working is checked out. He does not care either. He has retirement in June, and he's just got his eyes on that, and he doesn't really care. But if you've read any book or you've seen any show about a group full of misfits, what do you think happens? That's right. They band together, and guess what? They end up being friends anyway. And that teacher who didn't care at all, you will have to read the book to see if he does kind of care. And they were really realistic characters. They were fun. They were funny. They're smart. They're very smart. They're certainly not unteachable. But you will have to read the book to find out why that is. So again, that was Gordon Korman, and that was called The Unteachables. And that is available on Hoopla. This is available right away. Okay, our last book is also on Hoopla, and it is called Finding Langston. And this is by Lessa Klein Ransom. And Langston, now I don't have a problem remembering this main character's name because his name is Langston. And he shares a name with a very famous Black poet from the Harlem Renaissance named Langston Hughes. So our man Langston here is living in Chicago. He and his father have moved to Chicago in what is called the Great Migration, which is, you know, in, I guess, like the turn of the century, of the 20th century, when a lot of black families moved from the South up into northern cities because there were better opportunities. Segregation laws were not as strict, and they were better economic and job opportunities for them. So Langston and his father have moved because Langston's mother has passed away. And it starts out, that's sad, clearly. But he and his father move up to Chicago because there's a great opportunity for his dad to work up there. And Langston finds himself like in a fish out of water. Like, he doesn't know any of these other city kids that he goes to school with. He is not used to like the rules of the North versus the rules of the South. For instance, one day after school, Langston is walking home and he kind of gets a little bit lost, and he sees this great big building, and so he walks in to kind of get directions, and he finds out it's a public library. And Langston has never been in a public library before because down in the South where he's from at that time, people of color were not allowed into libraries. And so he's not used to the fact that this library lets in, you know, both white folks and people of color. But they do, and the librarians are very helpful. Yay! I always love reading that in a story when the librarians are helpful. I'm always like, yes, yay, we try to be. And they help him find some books, and he finds a book that's written by a man named Langston. And he's like, wow, I don't know who that is. So he starts reading Langston Hughes, falls in love with Langston Hughes' poetry, with the poetry of Langston Hughes and other black writers and other writers in general, and just really starts to love reading. Well, his father doesn't really have the best opinion of reading. He thinks that, you know, Langston should be making friends with the boys and maybe playing sports after school and doing, you know, those kind of traditional boy things so he can sort of make friends and set down roots here. Whereas Langston is finding the books actually to be very comforting to him in his time of kind of being a little aimless and uncertain about his life. So what I loved about this book was that it just reiterates the fact that books are so magical that they can be, you know, healing. They can be friends when you feel like you don't have a friend. They can be exciting. They can open new pathways. It's just, it's an amazing, amazing book. This one was called Finding Langston. And again, it's by Lisa Klein Ransom, and it is available on Hoopla. And that's it. That's all I have for you today. So thank you so much for tuning in, and keep reading, and let us know what you're reading, because I'm always looking for the next best read. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.